You can now get a 30-day trial to experience The Athletic for free. Visit the link in the description below to try it now.
It's that Tifo Football Show, starring JJ Blue and Alex Stewart, and your host, Joe Devine. The Tifo Football Show.
Yes, welcome to the show where we answer the questions that you've asked us. Now, if you want to ask a question on a future show, just pop a comment below the video. Let's get started. Now, the first question today comes from Tifo Jmanda on YouTube. Tifo Jmanda asks, what exactly is keeping PSG from winning the Champions League?
So I think there are two key reasons why PSG haven't won the Champions League yet and keep not coming too close, and they are a tactical imbalance and mental hurdles. Now, the problem with having lots of money like PSG do is that you want to spend it, and PSG has spent almost all of it on attackers. Neymar, Mbappe, Messi, these guys are quite expensive. And superstar individual players like these tend not to do as much defending as maybe you want, especially when you consider that defending really starts from the front. That's where it starts from, up here. Now, if you have Neymar, Mbappe and Messi in the same team, you gain lots, but you also lose a lot in that you cannot press the way maybe you want to. And the distance between the front three when they attack and the rest of the team is quite large because they don't track back. So it means you create this sort of distance between the middle three and the front three here, which opposition players can then attack, and they can get overloads in these wide areas, which is not ideal. Now, PSG managers have had to adjust to deal with this. So the solution for most managers so far has been to put in this kind of hard-working midfield of players like Ander Herrera, Idrissa Gueye, and defensive midfielders. Danilo's another one as well. But what that then means is that although they help to cover the space left by these forward players, they're still outnumbered in defensive phases. But it also means that they're not as good at playing the line-breaking passes that you need when you're in possession. So when you get into attacking areas and you have a team sat in a deep block, it means that players like Gueye and Herrera and Verratti's maybe a bit of an exception, but they don't have the kind of passing ability to get through, which becomes a problem when you've got as much possession as PSG tend to. There's another example, like Wijnaldum, who they signed in the summer, isn't even getting really close to the team, and he's the kind of player who could do that because they need to have that defensive structure in place. But the thing is, pressing is not just about winning the ball back with a tackle, it's about showing the ball a certain way so you can lead the ball to like a certain area to set a trap, so you can then clear it, so then you can recycle and build up from the back and have possession. But because Neymar, Mbappe and Messi don't do that, they don't have the pressing numbers that show that they do that, it means that they don't really have this ability to show the ball the way they want. Now, this is a problem when you have a manager like Mauricio Pochettino, who is best known for his time at Spurs with a very hard-working, compact, pressing team. They would meet teams at the halfway line, everyone would work back, they never had this problem with overloads here. But no sane manager is ever going to turn down the ability to play Messi, Mbappe and Neymar, because that would just be crazy. But even having Messi there means you lose someone like Di Maria, whose defensive numbers are better. So although you gain a lot from having a player like Messi, you lose a lot by having him in there as well, because you can't press as much. And if you consider the teams who have won the Champions League in the past, like you remember the Liverpool team who beat AC Milan in the final, or Chelsea who won it in 2012, they weren't the best teams with the best individual players, but they were the best group as a unit. And that is one of the most important things, which brings me on to point two, and the mental hurdles part of this. Now, PSG are basically a new club. So they were bought in 2011, that's where all the money came in. Even though they existed before, it's essentially a new club. They're very inexperienced. If you look at Man City as an example, how long it's taken them to get to where they are now, it takes a long time. Now, they've got inexperience within the team. Even the manager hasn't really won anything. Pochettino hasn't won anything yet. Thomas Tuchel took them to the Champions League final a couple of seasons ago, but then they didn't get over that. And this is a psychological hurdle that a lot of teams and sportsmen come up against, is that they can't get over that extra bit. Tuchel was in the Champions League final the following year and won, and perhaps his experience gained from being in the final was part of the reason for that. Pep Guardiola's talked about this sort of thing in the past, about how it's even getting past the quarter-final stage one year is a big thing, getting past the semi-final is one stage, and PSG have reached that part before. But it doesn't matter how much money you spend on the players, you still got to gel them as a team. And if you think about the balance we have here tactically, like Real Madrid, who won it a few times in a row, Bayern Munich winning it, Liverpool winning it, they've got the perfect balance of these different players that support each other. But Liverpool also went from winning trophies at a lower level to then getting into the Champions League and getting better each single year. PSG are still not quite there. The other thing to consider is that only one team can win the Champions League every single year, and quite a few of them want to do that. So just because you haven't won it doesn't mean you failed, even though you have. And PSG are yet to get over that mental hurdle. They haven't got the tactical balance right. And if you look, like, mostly it's teams like Real Madrid who've already won it, AC Milan have already won it, Bayern Munich have already won it. Once they get over that hurdle, I'd imagine they'll be able to do it far more. It could well be the season that this video is released and you are watching. It could be a future season. But until then, they're going to keep trying. And even if they don't win it, they haven't failed, but they also have. And that's why PSG, I think, haven't won the Champions League yet.
Great. What do you think, Alex?
I think that all makes a lot of sense. The only thing I'd add is that PSG have got one of the best academies in world football. Paris is an incredible hotbed of talent. Maybe if they bring more players through that academy where they have a sense of belonging to the club rather than being brought in, that might add to some of that mental resilience that you were talking about.
I just agree with that, yeah. They can also buy all the best young players that they want to put through the academy. So they will eventually win it and steamroll it.
Tifo J. Manda, you've been answered. Ryan on YouTube, why do we never see outfield players wear number 1? Is it illegal? Alex.
No, it's not illegal. The reason it's not illegal is that the Premier League handbook states only, under Rule M3, that clubs need to begin with their player squad numbers at 1 and then number sequentially through. Obviously, that doesn't prevent non-goalkeepers wearing number 1. The history of player shirt numbers is actually quite interesting. They began in 1911. By the mid-1920s, you would find them in South America and North America, first used in English league games in 1928. If we then fast forward to 1993, the FA said that in the Premier League, teams would move from the sequential 1 to 11 numbering system with 12 and 14 for their substitutes, and then have squad numbers. And these were obviously allocated to players largely dependent on position, but also dependent on what those players wanted. That did lead to an instance of an outfield player wearing a number 1. That was Stewart at Charlton. And there are other examples. Edgar Davids in the 2013-14 season wore number 1 at Barnet when he was the player manager. He wanted to start a trend. He didn't. There are other examples of goalkeepers not wearing the number 1 shirt as well. Tends to happen in Italy, so Luca Bucci at Parma, Cristiano Lupitelli at Chievo Verona. And also, if you go back to the World Cup in the 1970s and 80s, both the Netherlands and Argentina arranged their squad numbers alphabetically. So you had goalkeepers like Jens Longbod not wearing number 1. But in short answer to your question, no, you can wear a number 1 here if you're not a goalkeeper, but people don't.
Also, there was a boy at Aberdeen called Hisham Zerouali who wore number 0. I remember that.
Yeah, there are other instances, so obviously Cristiano Ronaldo, when he moved to Manchester United, he wanted to wear number 7. Edinson Cavani had worn number 7 for the away game at Wolves, so they had to receive a special dispensation. That was under Rule M5, you'll be pleased to hear.
Oh, I like M5s.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, I can tell you more. Renato Sanchez at Swansea wanted to wear number 85.
How about when Shearer signed for Newcastle and Les Ferdinand had number 9, and then I think he got number 10 and Shearer went 9?
Yeah, so if it's at the beginning of a season before a game's been played, then things can be swapped around. Sometimes as well, even after the squad registration has occurred, when Juan Mata joined Chelsea, he took number 10. It had been originally given to Yossi Benayoun, but he'd not played in a game. So they reassigned Benayoun the number 30. He then went to Arsenal, so it didn't matter anyway.
And also Ivan Zamorano with 1+8, because Ronaldo signed and he wanted 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoying that, Joe?
Oh, I loved it. Thank you, Ryan. You've been answered. Next up, Ben Harris on YouTube. Ben Harris on YouTube asks, is Pele as overrated as the internet seems to think he is, or is there merit in the idea that he could be the greatest ever? Well, here with conclusive proof is Dr. Mark Carey.
Mark Carey had an accident in a scattergram. He has broken something or his ligaments have exploded. I can't remember.
Hi, I'm Mark Carey, data analyst for The Athletic. I'm a little bit injured at the moment, but we'll forget about it. So let's talk about Pele. So is he overrated? Is he the greatest of all time? Now that is a very difficult question to answer, but what we can do is simply look at how many goals he scored. So rather than looking at all of the numbers across every game that the players played, thinking of things like friendlies. I'm going to look at just it in terms of competitive fixtures. So that's taken from the International Federation of Football History and Statistics. So that's what I'm using it for. And as you can see by the graphic, which I think is superimposed behind me, Pele is the second highest goal scorer of all time. He's sandwiched between Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, two other very good players. He's actually scored 606 league goals, which for Santos and New York Cosmos is actually the highest of any player of all time. You can see it, 606 is the highest in terms of league, and it's broken down in terms of the different type of fixtures, or the different type of goals, I should say. So yeah, it's such a hard question to answer in terms of who is the greatest of all time, in terms of technique and things like that, but in terms of goals, there's a case to be made that Pele is the greatest of all time. He's certainly right up there. So to suggest that he's overrated is, I think, way off the mark. And I'm Mark. So why do people on the internet think he's overrated? Well, it's difficult because it's really hard to tell just how many goals a player has scored when you include things like friendlies and non-competitive fixtures. So this graph that I've got takes in competitive fixtures only, which is why you can see that he's second on the list. If you do include things like friendlies, it becomes much more difficult, quite messy as well. And he's actually just above Lionel Messi in the goal scoring charts. And yeah, as I say, to suggest that he's overrated is sort of, yeah, wide of the mark, but he's certainly up there as one of the greatest of all time. It's Pele, of course he is.
Alex, do you like Pele?
Sure.
That's great. Now tell us at home, do you like Pele? Say it out loud now.
Sir, yes, sir!
Pele!
Hey! Pele. Tony Allen, next up. Tony Allen on YouTube asks, is Ryan Sessegnon likely to realise his huge potential? Or is that ship now sailed, JJ?
Well, I think there is plenty of time for him to realise his potential, but the thing is, Ryan Sessegnon is currently being turned into a wing-back when he never really was one. Sessegnon broke into the team at Fulham originally by playing as a left forward as part of a front three, and then from this position, he ended up scoring a lot of goals by just floating in the back post, so play would be focused down this kind of right side, and the ball would come in from here, and he would be able to be in the right place at the right time to score goals. And in his first season in the Championship, he played 48 games with one sub-appearance, scoring 16 goals with 8 assists. That's very good.
Has anyone actually seen a mink?
So that's a good thing to do. He also has played as a winger for England under-21s and junior youth kind of other teams, basically, the England system. And he went to Hoffenheim on loan where he played as a left back. Now he's being turned into a left wing back. And the thing is, so he's fast, but he's not rapid. He's also more of an attacking player. He's not really a defensive player. And so naturally you'll see lots of weaknesses in his game going forward from now on because he's having to learn a whole position that many players have trained their entire careers to be good at. Also, the jump from Championship to Premier League seemed to be quite large, and he didn't adjust incredibly well. Fulham struggled that season, but he played right mid, he played left mid, he played in midfield and as a fullback on either side as well. Now, the thing with Sessegnon is that as a young English player, he was naturally going to cost a lot of money and was very highly rated because that always happens with young English players. Spurs spent a lot of money on him. I don't think he was quite ready to play at Premier League level yet, and also was not a left back, which is where Spurs seem to want to play him. But I would say he's he is quick, he's left-footed, and he likes to play on this left side, so he's effectively a winger. And the thing with kind of modern footballers or modern wingers is that modern wingers are really the full-backs. They are the wing-backs in the team. You think of Liverpool's Andrew Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold. These guys start here, but they play most of the game in these sorts of positions. And I think the hope of Sessegnon is that he'll be able to use his attacking prowess, we'll say, by playing at this position here, learning all the trade here, but being able to then do the things he's good at, which are arriving in the box to get into crosses, but also be able to cross in from the left as a winger. Because less and less we see wingers in the Premier League. I think that should be fair to say, Alex.
Yeah, I was just thinking he would have worked as a left wing back in the Sheffield United system. His movement and his ability to crop up in the box is what makes him dangerous. And if a team finds a way to harness that, I think he'll be really good.
So, in short, yeah, he hasn't been able to break into the team really at Spurs, but yeah, there's still plenty of time. He's very young, 21 at time recording. He could well turn out to be a very good player.
But the question is he likely to?
Is he likely to? I think he needs to go to a less big team, a smaller team, and then maybe. He should have stayed at Fulham, basically, for a while. Yeah, that's what I think.
Well,
he's a nice boy, though. I've met him in real life. He's lovely.
And listen, I'm on Tony Allen's side here. Tony's not asking how. He's just saying, is he likely to?
Let's be positive and say yes.
I don't know if you've been answered, Tony Allen. I'm not sure.
Is this the same show as what we've just been doing?
Yes. Last question now. Matthew Jr. on YouTube. Matthew Jr. asks, how does the away goal rule work? Well, Matthew, when goal approaches, you simply shout away. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you've all enjoyed this evening's show at JJ Bull, Alex Stewart. I'm Joe Devine. Yes.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic brings you the best sports journalism in the world in a personalised experience, connecting you with the stories and teams that you care about the most. There's coverage of 13 sports, plus direct access to world-class journalists through live Q&As, discussions and podcasts. Not to mention, it's all ad-free. And you can try it now for free for 30 days by clicking the link in the description.